As we have understood so far, there is a difference between the manager and the leader. So, manager is every manager is a leader because it is covering the all the functions of planning, organizing, leading and controlling. As far as the leader is concerned, the leader is who influence the behavior of others, and therefore, that art of influence, that is to be the leader, that we will discuss in this particular session. So, we will talk about the definition of influence, power versus influence tactics, consequences of influence methods, types of outcome, 4 generalization about the power and influence, the 9 influence tactics, tactics to increase the influence, research paper, case study and book recommendation and references for further studies as usual. Now, whenever we are talking about the definition of the influence, are we trying to understand the influence? So, according to Susan, the influencing is not the ability to get someone to do what you want them to do. It is the ability to get yourself to do what you want to do. A wonderful definition, and therefore, in that case it is the before influencing the others that we should develop the ability in ourselves to influence. And Jeffrey has given the influence means defined as compelling behavior change without threat of punishment. That is very important, right? Because we have talked about that is whenever we say the influence means it is coming within. So, it is without any threat of punishment or promise of reward is there. While the third definition is influence is the ability to cause desirable and measurable actions and outcomes are there, right. So, therefore, in all the 3 definition what is the common is, and that is the ability, right. So, here we whenever we are talking about the leadership, the leader develops an ability to influence the others in the sense that is the whatever he wants to do, he developing that particular direction, that goal and vision for the others, and as a result of which they are able to develop this particular style of the influencing others. Now, whenever we talk about the influence, so many people are not clear the difference between the influence and power, because the power is also developing the ability to get work done from others. But power has been defined as the capacity to produce effects on others or the potential to influence others. So, power in the previous definition also, that when we talk about that is we want to develop an ability within ourselves, and that developing the ability of within ourselves, that is a power. And that is why the influence can be defined as the change in a target agent's attitudes, values, beliefs, behavior and so on. So, therefore, in that case that is whatever the target agents is there, that is the target agent means here target agent means the followers. So, therefore, that change in a target agents that might be the value, right, that might be the change even the attitude. Now, here we have to also understand that always it is not necessary that influence will be the change. Influence can be that is the already the person is having that potential, and by influencing we are making that person to use the influence tactics. The influence tactics refers to one person's actual behaviors. So, whatever the is there actual behavior is there, then that particular activity and that influence, that will be by using that influence tactics, the leader will be becoming the successful in influencing others. So, power is the capacity to cause the change, it is a cause the change. Influence is the degree of actual change in the target person's values and can be measured by the behaviors or attitudes, right. Result of leaders influence tactics is there. Now, I would like to take this consequence of the influence methods. In the case of the influence methods, it is the you will find that is the level of involvement of the person what the leader is trying to influence, that is on x axis. And in the y axis it is the level for you are exerting that is the leader where he is exerting that a particular efforts or influence, we will say, from the leader side is there. So, here in both the cases, whenever we are talking about the level of involvement of the person we are trying to influence and the level of the level for the leader who is exerting this particular influence, then first will be there will be the resistance will be there, right. So, naturally as we know that there is a resistance to change whenever the leader is influencing the followers. So, that followers may be having certain resistance, right. But here we are not using the any coercion or pressure or power or authority as on the that particular person, because that level of involvement of the person in the beginning, that will be the resistance will be there. But as we getting this particular influence, then in that case of this influence we will have the compliance, and in compliance correlation, personal appeal and the integration of the exchange is there. And third one is the commitment, where we are having finally what happens, that commitment becomes high. So, it journey starts from the resistance to the commitment. Now, this particular power, then we have talked about that referent power and then different types of the power in our previous session also. Likely if the request is believed to be important to the leader, and compliance will be in the commitment, right. In the commitment, if it connect with the power, that is the here it will be that is the it is important with the leader, that is the referent power is there. Whenever we are talking about the compliance, the request is perceived to be unimportant to the leader, and the resistance will be for the something that will bring harm to the leader, that will be the resistance. In legitimate power, possible if the request is polite, likely if request or order is seen as legitimate, and possible if the arrogant demands are made, a request does not appear proper. So, therefore, in that case, whenever we are talking about this journey right from the commitment to the resistance, while in the case of the compliance also, then we will find that is the followers, right, who are having that particular resistance, and then in that case which source of leader to influence will use. So, that will be the referent power will be used. Whenever when there is a resistance of the arrogant demands, then definitely in that case there will be the legitimate power will be used. So, here the leader can use either the referent power, or he can use about the legitimate power, legal power he can use. Now, the next power is that is about the expert power. So, in case of this, if there is a resistance is there, arrogant and insulting are the subordinate opposed task goals, then the leader will use the to influence will use expert power. If the request is persuasive and subordinate share the leader's task goals, then definitely that expert power will be used. Well, in the case of this compliance by the follower, persuasive but the subordinates are apathetic about the task goals are there. Coercive power, if they used in a hostile and manipulative way, right, then the commitment will be very unlikely, and compliance is possible if used in a helpful and non-punitive way if we are using the coercive power. Reward power in a manipulative arrogant way is there is a resistance, then possible if used in a very personal way, then the reward power is used, and compliance will be if used in a mechanical or the impersonal way is there. So, therefore, according to the what type of the resistance is there by the follower, and the leader can use the appropriate power to influence the follower. When it is matching, the style of resistance and the use of power is matching, then definitely in that case you will find that is the compliance is more and commitment is high. The fourth generalization about the power and influence are: effective leaders typically take advantage of all their sources of power, and leaders in well functioning organizations are open to being influenced by their subordinates. Leaders vary in the extent to which they share power with the subordinates, and effective leaders generally work to increase their various power bases or becoming more willing to use their coercive power is there. And therefore, in that case it is a match between the power and influence. That power and influence has to be used appropriately with that particular follower. And whenever there is the resistance is there and you are matching the power, then definitely in that case actually what extent do you use, that also you have to take care of, right. And if you are using that power into the right way, then definitely in that case you will find that is the you are willing to make the more and more use of that power, and you learn with the period of experience. What is important is that you should know, that is in what type of commitment you want to generate into in your followers, what type of compliance you want to generate in your followers. So, then what type of the power I have to use. So, once you know these 5 types of powers, then definitely you will be able to get the power of influence, and that will be the power will be as a part of influence tactics. So, in the hard tactics, it is a request, legitimating and the correlation is there. The soft tactics are the rational persuasion, socialization, exchange, personal appeal, consultation and inspirational appeals will be there. They are the more focused on self and more focused on others. So, therefore, in that case whenever we are talking about inspirational appeals, I would like to take the inspirational appeals first. So, therefore, they are more focused on others, and these soft tactics which we are talking about the inspiring others, right, then definitely this will be the best situation in any organization. Whenever the leader, when he use the soft tactics, and the soft tactics which are having the a very cordial environment, the culture of the organization will be very influential, and therefore, we have to go for the inspiration. But inspirational will not be using by the coercive power, it has to be by the socializing. What I will suggest, that is the in the using of the soft tactics, the first is that is you go for the socialization, and when you go for the socialization you will understand that is the what is the level of maturity of your follower, and then accordingly you will use the inspirational tactics. I would like to give the example whether the money is to be used or rewards, right. So, monetary rewards or non-monetary rewards. So, by socialization you will understand which type of reward will work. So, these hard and soft tactics which we are using, and that has to be very cautiously to be used, right, and therefore, that a leader requires that ability to understand the follower's perspective, which I was giving the example of the monetary and non-monetary is there. So, therefore, in that case the follower's perspective and characters and inner motivation, that is very important. If we and that is why what is important is socialization process is very important, the interaction, the communication, the informal meetings, right. So, therefore, simple example is that is about the tea club. And then in that case whenever you interact over a cup of tea, so many things which you will be in your knowledge about the followers perspectives and characteristics, and then definitely by making the proper tactics you can use. Now, we will go first for the hard tactics, how to use these tactics. The simplest influence approach. So, requesting is when the leader uses simple demands to get others to take action. It is the influence approach as the core of command and control leadership is there. So, nowadays you see that is even superior when giving any instruction to the subordinate, he talks about that is I will request you that you do it within time. So, therefore, in that case actually it is an instruction, but the word will be used, that is the request. So, therefore, the message message goes to this follower that it is a request is there. Like I want you to inform Jack that leading, or could you please call Frank, right, and I did ask you to inform him, have you had a chance to do it? So, when it is not like this that I did ask you to inform him whether you are informed or not. No, no. This is not the terminology or the communication you will use. So, that is the, have you had a chance to do it, right. So, therefore, it is very polite, and whenever this polite is there, then we will say that is the leader is influencing the behavior of follower by the requesting. But you will say that why this requesting is into the hard tactics is there. So, requesting is into the hard tactics because it is very hard to follow. The implementation of these tactics are very hard. So, that is why this is called the hard tactics are there. And the second hard tactics is legitimizing the tactics is there. When agents make requests based on their position or authority, for instance, when leaders show that what they want is consistent with the policy, procedure or company culture, right. So, therefore, that legal background of the leader that will be making this type of these situations. Typical statements by leader using legitimating tactics includes according to policy, right. So, all air travel must be, and therefore, in that case that is what he is suggesting, all air travel must be by economy class. So, therefore, in this particular statement that we will talk about, that is the there is a legitimating request you can say, and here the follower get influenced by this type of these statements, that is this is the policy and he has to follow, this is the rule, boss has told this is the rule and that he has to do if you want to continue in that organization, right. The CEO has asked me to look into. Now, this type of the words, then definitely they are becoming the highly legitimate words are there, because the already the hint has been given that is that CEO is intent to do this. So, you have to do this, right. The third hard tactics is the coalition tactics is there, that is from consultation in their way are used when agents seek the aid or support of others to influence the target, right, that is a follower basically. Coalition tactics includes the creating a network of supporters to extend the leader's power base. Now, here I will also like to mention the word, that is whenever the word has been influence the target. So, target is means what? Target means that I am for your understanding saying the follower, but the target means this subordinate, right. So, because he is not follower, why he is not follower and target has been word used, when he will follow that whatever influence you are doing the influence, then he will become the follower. So, these us versus them situation is there, like the Jake and I both think that, right. So, therefore, everyone on the finance team says. So, therefore, what is the approach? The leader's power base has been used, group position are creating a particular situation in which say that is the management has thought, right, as a team we have to do this. So, therefore, in that case it is always that is the yes we are supposed to do these things, right. So, then in that case that will be the communication by saying that is the yes this group has decided like this. Then the rational persuasion, this is really in the soft tactics this is becoming a very logical, and most of the leaders they use this rational persuasion is there. When an agent leader uses logical arguments or the factual evidence to influence others, right. So, therefore, in that case they are the logical arguments are there. To make a case using rational persuasion, leaders rely on having the knowledge or expertise to present facts analytically, or they provide the charts, graphs and data statistics, photographs or other forms of the proof is there. So, therefore, in that case you will find that is the here it is the logical arguments are there. At workplace, whenever we talk about the influence to target, I think that is this rational persuasion that is becoming more and more logical is there. So, given the data available, the most logical approach is, there is a justification. If we give the justification for the any particular instruction or advice or any order, then definitely in that case that will be more likely to compliance. Then the socializing is there. I emphasize more on this. Hopefully, most of you are taken this particular subject because this is from the having the HR orientation, human resource orientation. So, that human resource orientation is, that is about the socializing. So, if you want to learn and practice the human resource approach, then socialization is must, and I am sure most of you must be having that socialization process. So, whenever the agent means leader, he is not still a leader because he is trying to influence. Once influence will be done, he will be leader and the target will be follower, right. That is why the author has used the word agent here. To get you in a good mood before making a request, socializing uses praise and flattery before or during an attempt to get others to carry out a request, right. So, you start with the praise, oh, your handwriting is very good, you are very sincere, you are very punctual, you are very, so that is what, that is the praise and flattery you are starting to, right. And then you make a proposal, that is the, that you complete this report, right. Would you like to be the part of this project? And the academic paper sometimes refer to socializing as the ingratiation, and therefore, in that case this type of these practices whenever you are using, so you are supporting more and more the socialization processes there. And I will suggest this particular soft tactics to make the best use of it wherever possible and find out the opportunities to adopt this socializing process. Then the exchange, influencing a target through the exchange of favors is labeled the exchange, right. So, therefore, in that case with exchanging, leaders give something of value to the people being laid in return for getting something they want, right. So, therefore, but here you have to understand what my follower wants and what is the demand. Sometimes demand may be more, right. So, asking directly demand may be, sometimes it will be risky, but by understanding and then giving that, fulfilling that demand, that will be more influential technique. In return for participating in this employee survey, I will send you the aggregated results, right. I do not know how much it will be influential because the people may be interested in that aggregated results, people may not be interested in aggregated results. But yes, if there is a demand is there, then definitely that concept of reciprocity that will be justified, that otherwise whatever the results you are having, you are making the survey and whatever results you are making and I do not bother, then that will not be the right influence technique. The personal appeals are there. Agents use personal appeals when they ask another to do a favor out of friendship is there. And typical statements by a leader using personal appeals are, you and I go back a long time in this company, I would really like your help on. So, you are influencing that particular person by making the our personal request to that particular target, so that we are asking him for a favor. I need to ask you for a favor, and therefore, in that case whenever we are talking about the personal appeals, then definitely we are asking for the favor to the personally, favor is there. Consultation, it is also a formal process and very recognized process. On the others, participatory leadership is a form of consultation, and consultation means asking others to help the leader arrive at an acceptable solution. Appealing to others' expertise, asking for inputs, probing for feedback, inviting others to participate or becoming involved in a process, and therefore, in that case it is the always important, that is the you involve more and more people, because you see that is the input which you will be getting or maybe as a feedback you are getting, then definitely that will be helping you to creation of your vision and achievement of the goal. Typical statements by a leader using the consultation tactics are, my suggestion is that we do XYZ, what you suggest, in my opinion what would be the advantage and disadvantages, and knowing is the industry, do you see a merger as the best choice is there. So, whenever you are getting actually what in all the three questions statements you will find what is the common is there, that is the question mark is there, and you are getting the opinion from the others, and by getting that opinion from the other that is the consultation process, you will get the ideas. The last one is the inspirational appeals, right. So, that is in the true sense that is the influence of the leader. Last to come inspirational appeals, the core ingredients of inspirational leadership. Leaders using these tactics appeal to people's values and ideas to seek to arouse the emotions to gain commitment for a request or a proposal is there. So, whatever you want to get done from the particular person, right, and when you are making this appeal, then definitely in that case these are connected with the emotions. And leader using inspirational appeals might say, you are the best one to handle this negotiation because you care about being both business like and environmentally sensitive, right. So, therefore, in that case it is very emotional appeal, right, and emotional connect, that is the you are caring about the being both business, and therefore, in that case the person feels personally responsible. He wants to do that, and therefore, in that case that is becoming the more and more influential to the target. Tactics to increase the influence, these were the 9 tactics which we have talked about, that is how to influence the others are there. Now, whenever we are talking about the offer assistance, decrease workload, right. So, therefore, what happens by using these tactics, what we do, decrease workload, improve quality of work because the 2 brains are better than 1, and help with the goal attainment or make others feel appreciated. And the standout source offer valuable information resources are the expertise is there, right. So, therefore, that is you become a special source. Then step in a resolve conflicts, and the persuade team members think differently is there. So, therefore, in that case if there is a conflict, that is also resolved, and when team members think differently, then they lead to the discovery of alternate solutions or the new opportunities you are creating. So, naturally when new opportunities are created, then definitely your target that who is converted now into the follower, he will like to grab those particular opportunities. By getting those opportunities, then the relationship between this agent and target, that will be much better, and therefore, whatever the conflicts they were having, those conflicts will be resolved. The another tactic to increase the influence is to go above and beyond. So, collaborate, contribute to individuals and support the team, that is a team orientation. Whenever you are having the team orientation in your behavior and not it is the me. So, you might be in the leadership position, but it is not like this that is your approach is like that is me towards me, rather than your approach is towards the team. So, show interest in others. So, indicate your understanding of other people's needs and interest is there. So, as you identify their needs, wants, desire, right, then accordingly you can adopt for the right motivational techniques, and that right motivational techniques which you will be implementing, that will be becoming the very successful to influence the others. So, by using this tactics, I am sure that is the you will learn how to make an effective leadership is there. This is a paper consequences for managers of using single influence tactics, and the combination of tactics is there, and this is a State University of New York by Professor Geli Felwell, and the UCL is there, and by studying this research paper I am sure that you will be able to find out that is the how these targets of influence which coded influence behavior in the incident into 9 tactics which we have discussed, right, and the research has been done, and this has been published in the Journal of the Academy of Management Journal. To learn more about the likely outcomes of using different influence tactics alone in various combinations are there, and therefore, in that case this particular research paper which is having this purpose of the how these 9 tactics that will be used, it will be making you the more and more understanding. Particularly in this research, related incidents from 95 evening MBA students. So, that these 95 evening MBA students means they are the working executives are there at a large state university, and the students worked in regular jobs during the day at a variety of the large and small private companies and public agencies. Nearly half the students were managers and most of the rest were non-managerial professionals were there. So, when almost the 45 were the managers and the rest of 45-50 were the maybe the non-manager professionals are there, and the critical incidents were used to investigate the outcomes of influence attempts, in contrast to analysis based on questionnaire analysis of individual influence and attempts are made. In this particular study, so here you will find which of the 9 influencing approaches do people use most. So, that is a rational persuasion. I mentioned you in the beginning itself in the session, that is the this is the most appropriate and a proper method to influence the other, and the request is 12, personal appeals 12, exchange, socializing, coalition is 6, legitimating is 3, consultation is 2, and inspirational appeals were 2. And therefore, here the people are using the least inspirational appeals or the emotional appeals, and they are going more by the rational persuasion is there. But whenever we are talking about the team and effectiveness, then these inspirational appeals, as you see, that is the 90 is the commitment, it is results, that is the inspirational appeals are creating the 90 is the commitment is created, compliance is 10 and resistance is 0. While in consultation it is a commitment is a compliance is 27, right, 33, 41, 28, 30, 56, 44 and the 41 is there. In the case of the request is becoming the compliance is least in the case of the request, right, and in the rational persuasion the compliance is 30, right. But definitely in the inspirational appeals, however, the compliance is 10, but the commitment is 90. Now you see that is the we have to see that is the how the balance, actually the balance is required, right. So, here I find if I analyze this data, the exchange is the 35 and 41, right. This is I think that is becoming the more appropriate. However, the resistance is the 24 is their resistance, right. So, in the personal appeals and the exchange, here they are creating the balance more as compared to the only inspirational appeals, because the inspirational appeals are having the commitment, but compliance is low. As far as the request is concerned, the very less commitment is there, and the resistance is 56, highest resistance is there in the case of the request. So, therefore, at least we can learn from this particular study. However, every study is with the particular culture and context, just we have to get the idea, right. And then if you say that is at my workplace, what should be the influencing tactics. So, then you call us for the survey, you give us the consultancy, call us for the survey. So, surveys we will do, otherwise you can do. You can go by this these 9 tactics, please do the survey, find out in your organization that is the which tactics is becoming the more and more successful, and then accordingly you can decide. As usual, this is the case study which you can refer, and this will give you the that is which technique is the most useful is there. Similarly, and this will be the assignment for you, or the other keys to persuasion and influence that might be added to the IBM program. If you had a manager, you wanted you to do something against your initial inclination. So, what do you want to do? This is the influence book, new and expanded, the psychology of persuasion. The in this you can refer, right. And these are the, you will learn about the principles of the 7 principles of the influence, right. You can use this. So, you can find out the different literature, and that is how to influence, the power of influence for the leadership is there. As usual, these are the detailed references. Please refer these references for further studies, and this is all about the influence and leadership. Thank you.